we are arguing that the design choices made by scientists and engineers, economists, they include all these inclusion-exclusion processes, like what kind of concerns and values can we take into account. That is a huge gap where we actually, as social scientists, need to venture into the control room, trying to understand what is actually taking place in that control room. What kind of tools and devices do they use? It could be simulation tools or digital twins. That would really give us a new insight into what is happening there, and also the potential space for actually designing otherwise, to include other types of experts, even lay experts, in how we devise and how we design simulation tools, but also through workshops where we actually involve different types of people to talk about what are they doing and why is it that they're working the way they're doing. Maybe they will just continue doing what they're doing and people might understand it better, or some of the experts will realize, oh, we could actually use this other metric or have this other kind of mode of valuation that could then redesign how we think about this thing.
You propose a social technical perspective. So what is that?
A socio-technical lens is founded in science and technology studies, where we don't consider anything as only social or technical. We think about the world as socio-technically constructed. Technology is not just something that we can take for granted as depoliticized. It actually becomes very politicized in this sort of clash. Technologies come with a lot of inherent politics. Scientists and engineers, they design wind farms, but oftentimes they forget about how people engage with the technology, and also they forget about how the way that they actually design the turbines and other technologies entail a lot of decisions about what kind of concerns and values to actually integrate, to include, but also thereby some things are excluded.
So if we are to solve the climate crisis, what do we need to do from a social technical perspective?
We argue that this socio-technical lens can help foster a culture of interdisciplinarity between the technical sciences and the social sciences and humanities. We often tend to work apart from each other. With an STS lens, we can actually try to see how things are always also a social and a technical matter. So when we look at the grand challenges described by technical sciences, those are the spatial conditions and issues of scaling up, scalability of wind farms and wind turbines, but also it's also about system design. And these issues and grand challenges can be described in very technical terms, but what we try to then illustrate is how these seemingly very technical issues are also social in nature. So take spatial conditions, for instance. You can have GIS maps, and you can have a lot of different advanced tools to try to find the perfect site for deploying wind energy. But if you don't understand the specific also culture of this site, how people's valuations of this site also matter, then you cannot understand actually the roots of local opposition, and also the sort of what it would take to achieve some sort of local acceptability.
Is this then just another social acceptance paper?
Actually, we are very critical of the notion of social acceptance. It tends to label people as passive, or also framing them as a barrier to the energy transition. And what we really want to show is that people and local communities can be part of the energy transition, and often they're willing to be this. Most of the social acceptance literature tends to look at it as a human issue, so only looking at it from a social perspective, and then forgetting about the role of technology and the science behind the technologies and how they're designed. So with a social technical perspective, we want to move the social acceptance literature further, illustrating the politics of technology and science, and how much of the opposition that we see today cannot be understood without understanding the technology.